Hey there everyone, today I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler review of probably my favourite fantasy novel ever, and that is The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. So yeah, let's get right into it. So first of all, for those people that are unfamiliar with the books, games or TV series, The Witcher story follows a man called Geralt of Rivia. Geralt is what is known as, in this world, as a Witcher. And what makes them different is that their bodies are mutated, and although it kind of makes them not human anymore, what it does mean is that they have heightened senses and things like that, as well as they're able to cast sort of rudimentary spells. So they're not like sorcerers or anything like that, but they can cast spells called signs, which they make with their hands, and basically these mutations enable them to be better equipped than normal humans in order to kill monsters. One of the things that I wanted to make clear in this review is that there's in a lot of other people's reviews, they talk about how this book is just like a series of short stories, and that's kind of true, but it sort of misses the overall point as well, in that there are essentially stories throughout this book called The Voice of Reason, which the story keeps coming back to, and that's sort of the overarching story throughout this book. But I just sort of wanted to address the fact that it isn't just a collection of random stories. Sure, there are a few sort of stories that are sort of away from that, but for the most part it does keep coming back to this Voice of Reason story, and then ultimately The Last Wish, which is what the book is titled. So basically, because witches are well equipped for taking on monsters, they tend to find a lot of work for killing monsters within towns and cities that they're just not well equipped to handle them. So a lot of these stories sort of take place where Geralt is sort of taking on one such mission. And although that might actually seem quite simple, there's actually a lot of morality involved within these stories, which I find to be quite refreshing actually, but because it's done in quite an adult way. So it's even though it sort of has sort of almost like fairy tale themes to it, in fact it does include some pieces of the story that do include fairy tales like Snow White or Beauty and the Beast, but it's done in such a way that is very adult. In terms of characters for this book, we mostly just focus on Geralt, to be honest. It's just about sort of him going about doing his thing as a Witcher, essentially. However, it does kind of set things up for later books in terms of a bit of a bigger cast. So, for example, you do meet Dandelion, or I think in the Witcher TV series his name's Jaskier. And also you meet Yennefer, and that whole sort of story starts off, and I think for the Yennefer and Geralt story, this is the important book, and it's sort of quite towards the end, so it's worth getting through just for that. One of the themes of the book as well is that monsters aren't the only monsters, and I find that interesting because it's kind of true. Like, people can be monsters, and absolutely they can in this book as well, and ultimately I think that's actually the more interesting part of the story, because personally I tend to get bored of sort of just, you know, hero fights monster, there's no real conflict there. There's no, I mean, yeah, there's conflict, like monster wants to eat hero, or innocent people, therefore the hero kills the monster, saves the day, hurrah. But when you bring other humans into the picture, and they've got their own sort of moral issues and sort of their reasons for doing bad things potentially, or even like, there's actually a story within this book called The Lesser Evil, which illustrates this point perfectly, in that sometimes you make a choice and there's no right choice to make. So yeah, I quite like that very morally grey sort of area that this book sort of seems to sort of delve into. One of the other reasons that I think this might interest people as well is the fact that the book is actually quite short as well. It is this version of the book is only just 280 pages long, so it's not a long read at all. Again, the chapters are quite short as well, so it's a very easy read. You can pick it up, put it back down, come back to it later, and yeah, it's just a really great book for that kind of thing, so there's really no excuse not to pick this thing up. And that kind of brings me around to my review score, which is, unsurprisingly, it's a 10 out of 10 because it's literally my favourite fantasy book. I do still need to read through the rest of Sword of Destiny, which is the next book in the series, and that's currently on my TBR for this month, and I'm going through it right now actually, and I'm a few chapters in, so really enjoying that. But yeah, I'm just really glad that there's a lot more to the Witcher series, because I really enjoyed this book, and honestly anyone that's interested in fantasy I think should read this, particularly if you like the games or the TV series. But even if you don't, I think this is worth giving a read, even if you don't like the TV series or the games, because this kind of is its own thing. I'd say, if anything, the TV series is probably a closer adaptation, but even then, the book does some things that are better than the TV series, and actually, also worth mentioning that actually not everything in this book makes it into the TV series, and I'm not sure if that will sort of continue into season 2 or not. But they definitely took a few things from this and put them into the TV series. Some were done better than others. But yeah, it just goes to show just how great the source material is. The fact that the TV series is so critically acclaimed, as well as the video games as well. But yeah, that's pretty much enough of me gushing about The Last Wish. I'd love to hear what you've got to say about it, if you've read it yourself, if you like the TV series, if you like the games, if you've played the games or anything like that. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But yeah, as always, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.